In order to be effective in the field of visual communications, we have to be part artist, part psychologist, part marketer, and really good listeners. I, Dale Addy, address this in Understanding Human Behavior is Key to Connecting with Your Audience in Visual Communications. In this presentation, we'll cover 3 key points. Knowing the audience, crafting an effective message for the audience, packaging the message in a way that will prompt the audience to take action. The first phase is to know your audience. The best way to get to know your audience is through research. While quantitative research can tell you the audience's age, race, sex, and income level, customer behavior is much more complex than that. By using qualitative research methods such as in-depth interviews and focus groups, you can find out how the audience feels about a product, service, or issue. Legendary market researcher Sidney Levy argues for a combination of both quantitative and qualitative research methods, saying, "We must try to comprehend the richness and complexity of real people." Another way to get to know your audience is by understanding the buying process. Market researchers mainly focus on 2 different approaches, cognitive and behavioral. The motivating factor on the cognitive side are feelings, thoughts, and emotions. How does obtaining a certain product make you feel? For instance, how does buying a Ferrari make you feel versus purchasing a pre-owned Yugo? Both provide the utilitarian function of transportation, but consumers purchase the sports car to feel more powerful and attractive. On the behavioral side, research is focused on actions and reactions to stimuli in the environment. Consumers use the reinforcing or punishing consequences of their past choices to make current purchasing decisions. To use the same example again, how others perceive and react to you in the Ferrari are the outside stimuli that lead to and help reinforce your purchasing decision. In addition to formal research, designers today are expected to do their part when it comes to knowing the target audience. The concept of prosumer, where consumers actively seek information regarding a product or service, is important to note for designers. As these roles are shifting, it is crucial for designers to interact directly with the intended audience. Ellen Lupton, in her book Graphic Design Thinking Beyond Brainstorming, says, "Designers can have spontaneous discussions with users. Helpful feedback often comes from a casual conversation that starts with the question, 'What does this mean to you?' Consumer blogs and consumer reviews can give designers quick insight into how consumers feel about the product or service. Add to this the increasing prevalence of open design, which is reinterpreting the old push-pull marketing model. And today's consumers have much more control over a product's development, to the point where they can be seen as co-creators or at least extreme influencers. And designers can benefit from this by interacting directly with the consumers and gleaning critical feedback." Armed with all this knowledge about the target audience, we as visual communicators can confidently move forward with the creative process. The first step to crafting a visual communication strategy is to synthesize all this research into a creative brief. All good creative briefs should encompass the following: the current situation and marketing opportunity. Is this a new product or service that no one knows about yet? Or does it currently exist and have a perception problem that needs to be overcome? Defining the target audience. This is a profile of who the visual communication is intended to reach. This includes a synopsis of the previous research. It also helps define what media channels should be used to reach the intended audience. The competition. On the surface, the competition is other similar brands. However, competition is also any roadblock that keeps the target audience from engaging with the product or service being promoted. For example, if the client is a musical festival, then the competition would be other festivals or sporting events or theatrical productions that would compete for the consumer's entertainment budget. The unique selling point. What is the one singular reason why the target audience should try the product or service? The benefit needs to be results-driven. If you're selling a Yugo, the benefit is fuel economy. The Ferrari, all about status. The goals of the visual communication. What action do you want the intended audience to take after seeing the communication? Is the communication crafted to get the target audience to seek out the product or service, to make a call, or simply reinforce the overall brand feeling? Mario Pricken put it best when he said there are 2 types of creative briefs: the kind that restrict the team's creative search field, and the kind that enlarges the search field for potential ideas and stimulates the imagination. A good creative brief acts as the ignition for the team of creatives. Once you have the research and a sound creative brief, you can effectively create visual communications that resonate with the intended audience. The design elements should go deeper than just what needs to be said and should encompass all the ways of saying it. Things like the tone of the creative. Should the copy be written in an authoritative, matter-of-fact manner? Or should it have a more fluid storytelling feel? What color choices are best? What textures work, whether it be the paper or fabric used in the piece? What about imagery? Is clean photography or illustration more appropriate? The typography is crucial. Is a modern sans serif look the best, or is a more formal serif approach the most appropriate tactic? Other decisions extend beyond the traditional media channels. Perhaps a public art installation is best, or a campaign that is driven entirely by social media. During this execution phase, the role of designer has shifted and now overlaps with that of the client and the customer. In the past, the designer was focused on aesthetics only. Now, the designer interacts directly with the consumer and is able to get and give feedback to the client on what improvements can be made to the product or service. As Peter John Stropper from Creation & Company explains in the book Open Design Now, the role of designers is becoming more varied: part creator, part researcher, part facilitator, part process manager. This collaborative approach is sure to enhance the experience for everyone involved. In conclusion, in order to effectively connect with a target audience through visual communications, designers must adapt to several roles: part psychologist in knowing the target audience inside and out, part marketer in being able to determine the best way to reach that audience in an empathetic and understanding way, and part artist with the ability to package all of this information together in an appealing manner. While this is no easy task, the proper processes and insight are crucial when connecting with your audience in visual communications.